Hello, dear listener. I have something truly special to share. It's an exclusive invitation to join me in Mexico for an intimate and luxurious 3-day retreat along the beautiful Pacific coast of Zihuatanejo, taking place the weekend of the spring equinox, March 18th through the 20th. There's also an optional day to stay through the 21st for some special ceremonies that are happening in the area for the equinox. But the retreat itself is the 18th through the 20th, really an opportunity not to be missed. And I'm offering one lucky listener a discounted ticket on this weekend that I've just been loving into being actually for several years now as COVID and, everything. But when we conceived of building this place, our home down here, it's really what we envisioned, bringing people down here for retreats, for trainings, because we felt and we knew that this space was special. And as people keep coming down and we keep getting the feedback, how magical it is, we want to share it in a really intentional way. Be working with the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, the metaphors of the season. We'll set sight on a new vision for our mothering journey and creating a deeper connection to self and Mother Nature. So to win a discounted ticket, rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot it and DM it to me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons. And remember, the most important thing to mother is yourself. Give yourself permission to take a retreat this year. And besides, who said mothers can't go on a spring break? I'll see you there.
This is a Soulfire production. Welcome to Mother. No, it's Mother. Welcome to Mother, the show where we can explore our inner mothers to actualize our greatest selves. Through interviews with incredible guests, live coaching sessions, and my own experiences, we're going to dive deep into embracing feminine values and reparenting ourselves. So be prepared to show up, hold space, and be mothered in a way you never have before, but have always needed. It's time we rewrite the Mother Code. Hi, and welcome to episode 23, season 2 of the Rewrite the Mother Code Mother podcast. I am sobered to be with you today. I usually say excited, but the topic today is sobering. It's upsetting. Pre-warning on that. And it's important. Not a subject I'm happy to talk about, but unfortunately one that I think needs to be talked about. And the Women's History Month, or the Women's International Women's Day campaign this month, is Choose to Challenge. And this is one of those times that I'm choosing this topic to talk about today because I think it's important to challenge it, and it's challenging to me, challenging to talk about. The topic is violence against women. 3 recent events have highlighted this obviously incredibly long-standing issue. And just to name them, the murder of the 33-year-old UK woman by an off-duty police officer abducted while walking home from her boyfriend's. The tragic, violent, horrific shooting at the Atlanta spa, the Asian women. There were others, but particularly, yes, an Asian hate crime, but also a crime against women, as one of his stated upsets was that these women tempted him. So that's number 2. Number 3, I just read about today that in Turkey, a country where femicide, murdering of women and children, has tripled in the past 10 years, and where estimates show 77 women have been reported killed so far this year. It's probably higher than that because that's the reported amount. The president of Turkey took the country off the list of a European treaty that was signed in 2011 that called governments like 34 or 37 European countries a treaty to end violence against women. He decided that he was going to pull them out of that. He unsigned the treaty, done from the premise, believed to be the premise, that this treaty undermines traditional roles, traditional family roles. How could that be? Number 1, well, it turns out that it challenges those roles because it encourages divorce. Might it not be okay to divorce someone who is physically or sexually abusing you? I think so. So these are just 3 events that happen to have, that are in focus now. This is happening all the time. This is worldwide and an issue, right? So the lens, I want to speak into it. And believe me, I'm speaking into this not as an expert. I'm speaking into this, from my own experience, trying to, look from my vantage point at possibilities of ways to be with this, understanding that the impact of intersectionality in this topic is even more far reaching. So I'm not claiming to discuss this from any other vantage point and even more and vantage points that are affected by this even more so. But I think no matter, who we are, the population, if we look at it from a woman's standpoint in general, and we look at it from equality, we're going to look at this topic, and I want to look at it through the lens of rewriting the mother code structure, which is where we look at, in the mothering continuum and choices and ways of being in that atmosphere. We look at what are cultural myths, beliefs, the history, of mothering. Here we're going to look at it around in the area of violence against women, our childhoods. What were we raised with? What was ingrained in us? And then how do we look at this from a higher vision? What the impact on the world and the impact we can have in changing, something so devastating and far reaching. So if we look at it through these lenses, and, what I'm hoping to is to have us, just as I do with Rewrite the Mother Code, just, open up space to think critically, to think for ourselves, to realize where are we programmed, where, what's kind of happening in our wiring in our system, and then what are some things that we can do with that, once we have those awarenesses, and what are some choices, what are some ways of being that we have. So when we look at culturally, right, so coming from, my perspective, raised in a middle class white woman atmosphere, myself and others were, taught it was just the norm that you learned how to protect yourself, and that walking alone is dangerous, being out at night is dangerous. And it wasn't taught to be upset or question this. It was more, this is just what you do. This is how the world is, right? So there's kind of immediately a mythology there that there's an acceptance. There's an automatic acceptance that, and it could be anything from, well, that's how men are, or just how the world is. And, what are some of those terms that we just throw out so flippantly that are then ingrained, and then I haven't even thought to act on them or think that there's something really wrong. More recently, seeing things like, lists of the things women think about when they leave their home and it's dark out, and it's this huge long list. And what do men think about, when they leave or they're going into a parking garage, and it's not that list, and it's either has nothing on it or maybe one or two things. And, that has us look at in our culture another aspect of inequality between men and women, right? That's not equal standing. We're not safe in our world, in our country on an equal level. So looking at that from this cultural perspective and, beginning to just challenge things because I think growing up, I thought, I was smart to learn to protect myself. And then when I had daughters, spent, definitely a chunk of time doing self-defense classes. And, from a Israeli trained, I forget his title, but it was really significant, guy who when he's not, called to service is helping women keep themselves safe. And the fact that I have to, do that with my daughters, it's just heartbreaking and so not okay. If I had sons, would I have thought to give them self-defense classes? No, but it sure would have been okay to do physical activities like karate or taekwondo, but it wouldn't be so that they can protect themselves. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't, young boys or young men that need to protect themselves from bullies and that doesn't happen, but it's not an across the board, hey, you're a woman, this is just, part of your education to do that. Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather, if that's the space that you're in, and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women. And coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously, to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if the idea of leaving and not making it work, or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves, and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons, DrGertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat. So when we look at it from that cultural perspective and the historical cultural perspectives of how, women are no better than animals. Women, of course, it's okay to treat them. They're the lesser sex. They don't really have brains. They don't really think. And this is how you keep them in line. And they're more like chattel or property, that it's okay to inflict this level of, there's laws against violence against women that are still that it's okay. And, there isn't persecution that still haven't in some states been ratified. So there's areas in our culture that is this aspect. And then historically, when we look at the longstanding. So to be aware, what we're up against and how important it is, and how we've been silenced, that it's okay to not speak out, and not just not okay, it's not safe. So you're not safe, and then you're not safe to speak out because of all the ramifications with that. So, that we've obviously seen some shifts in the Me Too movement, so beautiful, and things like that, making it a safer space to speak out and not follow those old cultural paradigms. And then, it's similar, but probably a little bit different in our childhoods. What was ingrained in us, wired in, how did we see our fathers treat our mothers? Where was there respect? Was there not? Was there violence? When we see that, was there violence against us? When we see or experience that, even though, a huge part of us knows it's not okay, we're in development. We're getting wired, as Freud said, what's fired together wires together. So on the one hand, I may be getting love and certainly, some protection with a home and roof over my head. But if there's any level of violence in the home, that's somehow wired with love. So this wiring is so, this is very personal to every woman, but for us to look at this, so that when we want to look at these two perspectives in particular, because, when I read, these three more recent happenings, what did I feel? What did I feel as I just read about them? Am I numbing myself to the feelings in any moment? And that's what we want to start looking at, is when we allow these triggers to come to our, from our unconscious to our conscious, then that is part of doing something about this. Sometimes we think we have to jump to kind of a more external doing right away. That can be beautiful, but just like we talk about in rewriting the mother code, we may think like, there's something, this have a baby, or, do this act around mothering before we've done some deeper work and critical thinking and feeling around it. So what does violence against women mean to me in my culture, in my life, and really allow myself to start feeling around it, not numbing myself to both any past incidents, do my own healing, my own work, my own emotional releases, and take on that very beautiful journey. And I like to hold, if when I'm working on those aspects, that I'm healing generations, that the work I'm doing is healing this past violence for generations. So then I can also then be fully a woman, and that womanly aspect that feels the pain of other women, that feels the pain of those that can't protect themselves, and allows that pain not to overwhelm us or take on everyone's pain, but we have the capacity to feel the pain of the world and the pain that women feel, and take on our share and maybe some more, and allow ourselves to feel some of that pain as well, and really feel that. That's going to create and clear a space for potentially right action. But just those acts, those are going to have ripple effects. Those saying yes and acknowledging to myself, if I have had violence against me, that I take every step for my healing. If I see it around me, that I feel and feel the sisterhood of that. And when we do that, then we can feel connected. We can feel like we are supporting each other. We may make then, physical support organizations, places that are directly, we may be advocacy in government, any and all of those, but really so important that we turn it inside on ourselves and take responsibility for our feelings around it. Then in that way, we as women collectively, and men, joining in that from that feminine perspective, that's when we can expand. That's the cosmic aspect of this, where us joined in that force can make world change, can make global change. We can mother other women and the world in this way, one woman at a time with ourselves, and then expanding it out to others, to other women, to other aspects in our lives. I think, and I get very moved and touched by that vision, that is something I can do now. That isn't something I have to wait or wonder how I can help or, just want to numb the pain. But that's a way, we can spur ourselves into action and take care of ourselves every day. And I would love, for us all to, when we read or hear or see anything, along these lines, to follow that structure that I just talked about. And it could be in the form of a meditation. It could be coaching. It could be noticing that, how much I want to numb it might be a sign that there's more going on in there, and I get coaching or therapy around it. All of these are a way to take action, and I think a really beautiful way. And, in the spirit of International Women's Day and Women's History Month, choose to challenge the status quo. We can do this together and in this way. So I hope you can, you're taking with you a model or a way to be with, this horrific imbalance, and it shows itself so blatantly and so horribly, in our world, but we can do things, and this is a way for us to do that. And I'm with you. I'm happy to support anyone that, as you hear this or read this, something comes up for you, please, know that I'm here for you. You can reach out to me as, just to talk and discover for yourself. Yeah. So just going to take a nice big deep breath myself. I encourage and invite you to do the same. Breathe this in, allow, any feelings that are there for you right now to be with. And as we close for today, I feel very blessed and grateful, for this opportunity to speak into this from this perspective, and hopefully give us all a way to grapple with such big topics, and I'm sobered and hopeful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for choosing yourself and taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe to subscribe to Mother. It helps other people who need this message, aka all women, well, actually everybody, men included. I'm honored to have you on this journey in mothering yourself. Remember, change is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful, and it starts with us. And if you can't wait until next week's episode, follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Dr. Gertrude Lyons, or at my website, drgertrudelyons.com. I'll see you next time.